Happy birthday, ABB.
When you really think about it, all breeds belong is a pretty radical idea. The idea that we would no longer make a distinction between healthcare and the rest of life, where we would recognize that health and connection were not only related, but that connection and belonging were fundamentally required for health.
Welcome to All Brains Belong, Vermont. It's a kind of an interesting place because it is a doctor's office, even though it doesn't really look like a doctor's office. And it's also where people can make friends.
Also an opportunity to meet others in the community who are going through the same or similar things, which then gives us the opportunity to learn from each other's experiences and to really value and feel valued by each other and feel a lot less alone and a lot more hopeful. And so it ends up feeling like a community more than a medical practice.
Some people ask me, hey Mel, why did you quit your perfectly stable job to start a nonprofit organization and try to change the world? My answer, how could I not? When I learned that the average life expectancy for an autistic person was 36 to 54 years, I flipped my lid.
That's unacceptable. ABB was needed because of all the sweet little loves who have grown up into a system that doesn't meet their needs.
What's normalized is the dysfunction of the system. It's like, yep, this is just the way it is. So that's what we have to do. So we're just going to keep doing it.
The system just doesn't listen to the people. It doesn't believe them.
Nobody believes you. Healthcare is designed for you show up and they send you places and put you in little cubbies and folders.
I can just feel when I walk in, I don't know if it's a safe space for me being neurodivergent, but I also don't know if it's a safe space because of the way that I'm going to be treated and disregarded.
It's reasonable to expect that you're going to feel safe when you go to the doctor.
People went into a provider to seek help for something going on, and they left feeling like they now had two problems. The first being the same problem they went in with to begin with, and the second being the added stress and burden of being invalidated and dismissed and gaslit. And it seemed like in many ways, the healthcare experience for a lot of folks that we talked to only added to their poor health.
Is it too simple to say, like, people should not be dying prematurely? We have to do something differently?
Like, there has to be a better way to do this.
I knew how to be a doctor, but I did not know how to start a nonprofit, run a nonprofit, run a medical practice. But what I did know is that in order to make an impact and improve the lives of neurodivergent people, you had to change the world. So, to do anything for the neurodivergent community, you had to do everything. It's not just healthcare. It's loneliness, it's school, it's work, it's everything.
ABB was needed for all the sweet little loves to learn about their brains and to know that there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, that they are beautiful and deserving of a world where they can thrive.
I came to ABB because I suspected I was autistic. And then when I found ABB at Fox Market, it was just All Brains Belong Vermont. And I just knew in the moment, this is for me. And I had no idea even what it was yet.
Raised enough money to pay a couple months rent and buy some insurance. And then I just started seeing patients in an office by myself. The day before we opened, we didn't have any furniture. So I posted on Front Porch Forum. Someone offered a recliner. I said, well, you got to start somewhere. So I go pick up the recliner. I tell the person what I'm up to, and she's like, oh, you need to come with me. And we drove across town to where her sister had lived, and her sister had just passed away. My sister would love what you were doing. And she and her family loaded up all this stuff in their trucks, and they drove back to Montpelier with me to our office. I sent text messages to everyone I knew who can help unload a whole house full of furniture. again. Now. And that was our move-in story to our first office at 250 Main Street, Montpelier.
This is my exam room. This is where I sit. One thing that's really interesting about this place is that people gave us trees. There's literally trees in the waiting room.
What interests me about All Brains Belong is the idea of a customizable menu to make an experience, whether it's a vaccine clinic or a medical visit in the office or a community gathering event, feel good to each unique individual.
Do you want bright lights, low lights, fidget toys? Do you want to have time check-ins? Do you want to have summaries sent? These things are an option? What?
I get to see people come in who haven't been able to get care anywhere else.
Even just the everyday ableism of when UVM lowered their mask mandate.
You can actually access the appointment safely, so you cannot get COVID.
That is not what's out there.
The idea that we can just say, this is my access need.
This is the only time in my life I would say that I've actually felt not only heard, but listened to, and just treated like a human.
Qualitatively, the experience at ABB is really different and really sincere attempt, the most sincerest attempt I've ever seen in a medical practice to meet people where they are at, to serve everybody well and to leave nobody behind. It's an incredible effort to make groups and meetings and medical care accessible and interpersonally, practically, financially.
I think one of our first game changers was the decision to hold a neuro-inclusive COVID vaccine clinic, open to the whole community within our first couple of weeks of launching.
We all have different brains that think, learn, communicate, do things differently.
This was a chance for the general public to see how truly simple this radical concept really was.
The default thing is to get your vaccine in a crowded, large group environment. But for many brains, that does not feel comfortable.
Who best benefits from this type of a vaccination clinic?
Everyone. It's a good thing when people have a positive healthcare experience. I formed some sort of memory that wasn't awful.
There's no ease in that pathway for a lot of our nervous systems right now because there has been no autonomy, because there's been no agency, there's been no freedom and choice.
We realized we had to start talking about these concepts. We had to give people language for their experiences.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Brain Club.
Flips again once.
Yeah, or twice, or like a million times.
400 million
400 million times. Mm-hmm. Did you know that some people think that they're the only ones who flip their lid?
Did you know that? No.
Oh. Some people think they're the only ones, and then they feel bad about themselves because they think they're the only one.
For a lot of people, this is the first time they've seen that there's other people like them.
We're just always astonished there are people that move so easily in the social world and they don't have to do the math. I've got to figure everything out.
The panelists and your interactions with them were the first place that I started to see kind of like the shared language of, it was the first time I heard the term access needs. And, you and the panelists are kind of modeling like, here's how access needs, play out in different settings. Here's how, ableism thwarts access needs.
Internalized ableism that arises, and the person who you're talking with begins to look over your shoulder subtly and wonder whether there's somebody else that would be a little easier to talk with. Or the accumulation in the individual autistic person's experience of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these types of things does lead you in some subtle, almost unconscious way to begin to believe that you're broken.
One of the gifts that All Brains Belong has given to me, and I think so many other people, is is a common language based on common experience that we didn't know existed before.
Yeah, I'm not alone in that particular journey. It's helping to hear other people share.
And when we can see ourselves reflected in the stories of other people, we become more okay with ourselves.
Smoothing out the rough edges of my experiences and of my perceptions. I'm less harsh on myself. I'm less sharp with myself.
It's exposing me to people being so beautifully raw and authentic because the space allows that. And I can't think of many spaces in life that that allow for people to come together in this way and kind of like this radical act of trust.
Part of why I'm really enjoying being a part of all this journey is because the kernel of what you're doing feels so common sense.
Showing up authentically and having other people also show up, and over time, and not even over time, like it happened pretty quickly. Like people show up and you're like, hey, let's be authentic. And they're like, I don't know how to do that, but okay, I'll hear you out.
I didn't feel like I could talk about myself in any kind of deep way until I got involved with ABB. Really. I mean, it spoke to me immediately as something that, like, you know what, Winnie, you're going to be 50 something. At some point, you're going to need to be authentic with people. Why not start right now?
I love working at All Brains Belong because I get to show up as my full authentic self. I am accepted and valued for the person that I am instead of a masked version of myself. I think the organization as a whole works to create and adapt systems to the staff and community that it serves, instead of forcing people into pre-created and often inaccessible systems.
Being a member of a team in a safe place where patients can explore their health.
For the past 3 years, it's been such a blessing for me to be on this journey with everyone as we learn more about our own access needs and the access needs of others, and how by understanding that, we see that there's never been anything wrong with us. We're all in it together.
So before we launched, my board of directors was like, Mel, yeah, I can't do all the things. My PDA raged, like, just watch me. But turns out it's pretty hard to do all the things.
We need to do everything because we know to improve the health of people, we need to address all the factors that are affecting people's health.
I think about all the people that I know who are like, dude, I can't live like this. It's just the treadmill of like, I'm stuck, like this won't move.
This is your menu of options in your life, and like you pick one of them.
It's all too easy to go internal and take all the responsibility. It worked or didn't work because of me, but that's not really how it is.
You try to fit yourself and mold your brain and your whole way of being into the box that who knows who designed it. Standard expectation of how to communicate, how to interact, how to socialize, how to just exist, how to be within the workplace. It's suffocating.
It's just like amazing and blows my mind that ABB has taken the initiative to work on creating employment opportunities that is like so fundamentally connected to my perception of health and well-being. It makes me feel like I have a future.
People want to talk about work. They wanted to talk about specifically how their workplaces were not working for their brains. And so the Neuro-Inclusive Employment Task Force was born. And from this came brain clubs and trainings.
We're caught in systems that we prop up that we have to navigate and cobble together. And we think the system is bigger than us, but it's us. Like, we are the ones that have a role in this, and we can disrupt it.
It's not only helping people understand their own access needs, but it is teaching the surrounding community, normalizing these conversations in everyday life everywhere.
How can systems adapt so that people don't get left out? I see employers who are open to the conversation. I see business in Vermont
that is ready for that conversation and that learning that All Brains Belong is providing through workplace neurodiversity education.
What the training did was to give us an understanding of how different individuals access and process and interpret information in different ways. And awareness of that creates the opportunity to sort of embrace, or at least strive to embrace, differences.
Learning about neurodiversity as a physician that's been practicing for a long time, or just as a person, really more as a person, to change my perspective. This person's brain works differently than me. And I also learn how to appreciate the other person whose brain is different from me. We, just aids in communication, which is, communication is sort of everything.
And celebrating that everybody is different and everybody's brain is beautiful.
Like to be understood and to be seen and to be accepted and welcomed and encouraged to participate. It's all the things, as you like to say. It's all the things.
Coming to ABB, where there's already such knowledge of, if you have this, the likelihood that you have something in the other constellation of the everything is connected to everything. The angle of you have a higher likelihood of having something of these other things. So let's just see what we're working with.
Autistic people are at a higher risk of developing complications from COVID-19. In this week's Health Watch, our Christina Gesford sits down with a doctor who says she's witnessing the pattern firsthand.
A lot of different symptoms show up in the different systems of the body that were fundamentally neurologically related.
Long COVID, and other medical issues. It's very common, but it's also things that should never be ignored.
This is really affecting everything, not just having a cough for a long time. This is affecting the entire body. This is affecting the brain. This is affecting our economy and our world.
By elevating the value of lived experience, this has allowed us to learn about how to provide better medical care. It's different from how the mainstream healthcare system is doing it.
For example, if somebody has chronic pain, they often get put on muscle relaxants, which if they also have sleep apnea, because connective tissue is collapsing on itself in the airway, that's going to make this worse.
Completely mind-blowing. What do you mean healthcare can be like this? This is the most proactive care I have ever gotten in my life.
One of the differences that I'm sure the medical center where I work could learn from ABB and the example is just healing together and community. And that's kind of the way we humans are evolved. So
when we really think about community, we think about bringing people together based on shared values and a shared vision of what's possible.
Your organization has broken so many of the brain rules that I've seen in healthcare.
How about we right now, today, stop shoving people into containers that don't work for them? How about we just ask them what they need and try to do it?
The practice develops is informed and driven by patient needs. And we're in these advisory groups and invited to join them.
Like literally, I feel like the next week I'd have an idea or somebody else in the group would have an idea and it's implemented. Like it's a community that listens to people who are needing the connections.
For people to even know that it exists. They're like, oh, I can actually seek out practices like that. I don't have to stay with this thing that I don't feel good about.
You're supporting people in all these ways and trying to change those systems, like change medical care, change workplaces, try to have the surrounding community actually be a place that people can access and get their needs met.
I think ABB is a radical movement against oppression, both within and outside of the healthcare system.
What I often see is once people feel safe and once people have been cued safety, they're able to engage in community. And that's when we really see these kind of healthcare jumps for people. We see, people come to group visits and learn from other people and have that shame reduction of, oh, it's not just me dealing with all these things. There's other people who believe me, there's other people who are like me. And get really quality medical care.
I feel beyond fortunate to have become an ABB patient this year. As a patient, I feel the help and healing coming from the ABB staff and the ABB community. It's a truly beautiful thing to connect with others facing similar issues and share our field-tested experiences. Also, as a patient of ABB, I'm a member on their channel on Discord, where patients are interacting with each other. I see people caring for each other, and I see people offering help and understanding in a way that we can relate to and feel.
I see you, I hear you, I notice you when I go to the store, one of my clients, a child, an adult. You're not alone.
You know, I was desperate to find someone that understood my kids, which also meant understood me, but really I'm the one that has benefited the most. I didn't realize how much I needed ABB, more than just on a personal level and not just as the mother of 2 PDA kiddos.
To have a place where I'm not masking and I'm not acting and I'm not spending over half of my mental energy trying to figure out what they expect from me. No, I don't have that anywhere else.
Research says that the opposite of belonging is fitting in, because you are changing yourself to fit the norms of the already established group.
And what I realize now is I spent my whole life trying to fit in, to belong.
This video started, I thought, look at all of my friends. And this is such a big deal for me because I have immune deficiency, and COVID means that I can't go out to buildings and I can't meet people. But All Brains not only is a place where I get to meet with people like Gabe, who's investigating all of my mast cell reactions and my central processing disorder, and Mel supporting me, learning that I have dyspraxia and all these other things, that this is just such a wonderful support of me as a human being who is isolated from community. Now I have one, all of you. Thank you.
And for me, Family Connections has just made it possible in my own mind to feel connected as a mother, as a friend, and as this family. We're not alone, we're not in isolation, and there's so much more we learn with each other and from each other that I carry it in my head, in my heart.
You know, and I know it's hard, and the system doesn't help. And just being able to have a conversation with my own kids about the system is broken, it's not your brain. Being able to have that conversation is new. So that's a gift.
Impact of these sweet little loves, having this foundational understanding will impact the rest of their lives.
Hi, I am Spencer, and this picture I made, the Mega Mushroom from Mario, represents All Brains Belong, because really all brains belong, and I honor that. So this is my picture.
My sister went to Stuffy's night and she had a lot of fun because she could be herself.
When I think of ABB, I think of hope and happiness. It often slips my mind that this is a medical practice.
If we're just addressing the things that are in the scope of a traditional medical practice, we're missing the biggest factors of affecting somebody's health.
I have more courage to move myself out into the world because I feel like I'm reinforced by this community. I'm not looking for my needs to be met in the normative world anymore because they're being met here.
This community and all of the work being done here just gave me so much to lean on and not let it sink me and let it make me feel really bad about myself or my child or my parenting or my partner. It instead made me feel like, well, you don't get it. And I moved on. And I'm so thankful for this group because that would not have been my reaction before ABB.
It's just everybody like naming the thing and showing up as their authentic selves.
ABB is sort of like, there is this kind of social justice, you know, like you are not the problem. The problem, we have a world that needs changing. Instead of like forcing people to change or like getting in people's face about change, the approach is just to show people that it can be done and do it really well. And that, I just think that's just such a beautiful model and a beautiful way of like creating the world you want to live in. And I just, anyway, I think that's inspiring.
This year's third annual Community Health Education Fair far exceeded, my every expectation. Given that just 2 years ago, this event was planned a week in advance. Our patients, they're making phone calls. They don't hear from anyone. They're trying to get the things and they can't find the things. So we called them all up and said, "Hey, can you meet us on the State House lawn next Saturday?" And that was the first chef. It's this really simple thing, and then it just grew from there. This year was different.
This year at Chef, it was incredible. We had over 50 community partners come.
Bringing everybody together in one space so people can come get the help that they need. So somebody can come and be like, I need help for housing, and be able to walk through and talk to all these different organizations and actually get that help.
The pressure to appear the right way just isn't there.
It's just feels like a different energy.
This year's event was truly a co-created experience. Our patients, our volunteers, our corporate partners, our community coming together to co-create this offering for the ABB community and beyond.
This type of care is really simple. It's really just listen to people and believe them and have that be the start of every interaction.
Right? It's just so easy. And if you're able to pass on the word as much as possible.
Healthcare that values the individual's experience and see better health outcomes in the long run.
And so when I say, like, I know I'll live a longer life, it's not only do I live a longer life because I have the healthcare, but now I have community, I'm making friends. I feel understood. All of these things that ABB are providing for me. And then it's like the other patients.
So much of what perhaps goes on with me is the reflection of like the trauma of living in a culture that dismisses and undermines my humanity at every turn, and what your body has to do to adjust to living in a culture where that wants to throw you out. The fact that there's someone that there's a clinician who's succeeding in the culture, who has a voice in the culture, who treats me as a human being, and who takes what I'm saying seriously, actually say that they're your ally and they're going to help you to get to the bottom of what's going on in your body and not throw you out in the way that that you expect to be thrown out. That in and of itself is the beginning of healing.
What do you say to people who don't necessarily feel safe enough to try something different, don't have to, whether that be like, trying a group medical visit, trying Brain Club, like trying, because you don't trust other people. Why would I want to be around other people? Other people suck. That's been my experience.
I get the terror and the pain of hope. In a medical system that treats you like a problem and treats you like you're making stuff up and treats you like, a problem instead of a person. The best I can offer for someone who has been hurt and gaslit and not believed is be brave once more. Once more. Because you will be believed at All Brains Belong. And it's like being in a completely different world.